Hello there, welcome to another Rust Dust Jobs. Please like and subscribe if you find this helpful. So today we're going to be changing the oil and filter on this 2015 BMW 320 Diesel. So we're going to need access, because we're going to be doing it via the vacuum pump method. We're going to need access to obviously the dipstick and the oil filter, which is under here somewhere. So first things first, we need to take off the engine cover. So once you've given it a good old hard tug at each front corner, then it will just slide forward and then you can remove it. Once it's removed, you can see the oil filter is down there just underneath that pipe. Okay, so for this job we're going to need a 27mm socket, preferably some sort of extension bar. You might get away without one, but it's handy to have one. Socket handle, new oil filter, new oil, and obviously our vacuum pump for sucking the oil out. Okay, so we've located our socket. You don't have to remove any of the pipe, just pull them out of the way, and then we can get the socket handle on. What I like to do is just undo it until it's loose enough that it's you can almost do it by hand. And give it a little twizzle. And then before I actually pull it out, I like just to get some some tissue paper or something, toilet roll, whatever you've got handy, rag, just to pop underneath, because obviously you can see the oil filter's at an angle, so when you pull it out, the oil's got a tendency of dripping down into the engine and on your floor underneath if you haven't got a pan there. So I'm going to just grab some tissue and then take the oil filter out. Okay, so now it's all loose, I can pull it out. I'm just going to try and quickly grab as much oil as I can. You can see there's our nice dirty oil filter that I'm going to get rid of, and then we'll walk through how we're going to put the new one on. Okay, so we've taken the old filter out. It literally just pulls out, and then you can pop that, dispose of that properly. And then in the new box we've got a filter, we've got a new rubber washer, we've got a new copper washer as well. So the copper washer is obviously for the sump plug if we were doing it the traditional way, to put on the sump plug, but we're going to use the vacuum pump, so we're not going to need that one. So on the housing of the oil filter, you see it's got a rubber O-ring washer around here. So I found the best way of getting that off is literally just to very gently just prise underneath a small flat bladed screwdriver, and then you can pull that off, and then okay, so here's our new washer. When it's new, it's got little powdery stuff, so I like to just get a little bit of the leftover grease that's on there and just smear it around the O-ring, and then we can line it up with where it should be, and then pop that back in place. And then the new seal, there's only one way it can go, so that goes into the body of the filter, and I'm just going to push it on, and that's on, nice and firm, still spins round. Okay, so I don't know if you'll be able to see in here, I'll get the camera as close as I can. There's a centre hole, and then there's another hole just to the right of that. So that's where the lip of this thing has to fit in. So we're going to line up that lip. When we put it in, we're going to line up the lip. As I say, this spins, so it's not the worst job in the world to do. But just line it up so the lip goes in, and then once it's in, we can hand tighten it up. Okay, so you'll know when it's in properly, because you'll be able to literally tighten it up by hand as tight as you can. And then we can get the socket back on and do it back up again. So again, the most important thing when you're tightening up an oil filter is just make sure you don't over tighten it. It's literally just get it as tight as you can, and then once you feel it's tight and it won't go any further, just get a tiny little nip just to nip it up. You don't want to over tighten it, that's the worst thing you can do. Those rubber O-rings are going to do their job and keep it from coming out. Okay, so that's the oil filter, all nicely done, tightened up to the right level. And then all we're going to need now is access to the dipstick and the oil filter cap for the next bit. At this stage you can, if you want, put the engine cover back on, but I'm going to leave it off just because it's easier to see things. Okay, so we've connected our vacuum pump up. So we've got the main pump, comes in the thing, up to the other one, and then we're going to choose the pipe, we're going to choose the pipe that's, let's get rid of the dipstick, we're going to choose the pipe that's the widest we can, that easily slides down the dipstick tube to the bottom. You feel when it gets to the bottom, as you can sometimes feel it on the end. Okay, so we're all ready to pump. So once we've pumped it up, once we've connected it all up, we're going to give this pump 1 or 2 pumps, and then hopefully after a little while we should be able to see the oil coming out and down the tube. So with the pump itself, literally 2, 3, 4 pumps, and then once you feel a bit of resistance, just give it 1 more pump, and that's all you need. You don't want to over pump it, and we're just going to let the vacuum that's created in this pump suck all the oil through. You can see it coming out now, and then it will start to drain and drip into our container. So handily on this one, each ridge that you can see on this cylinder is equivalent to a litre, so we know roughly how much is coming out. So we're just going to leave that now 15-20 minutes, go and have a cup of tea, then come back and see how we're doing. Little thing that I like to do as well, just to make sure nothing nasty falls down the dipstick tube while we're waiting, is just cover it over loosely with a bit of blue tack. Also it gives it a little bit more suction when it's coming through, and then we can just leave it. Okay, so it's been draining for about 20 minutes or so while I've had a cup of tea. You'll know when it's finished draining because you'll start hearing air being sucked out through the pipe rather than oil. So you know you come to the end. And if we can look down here, I don't think you can see, we've drained a good, 4.5 litres out of there. So that's good. So all we need to do now, remove the pipes, clean them up, and then we can dispose of the used oil into an old container and then take that down the dump so we can get properly recycled and used in an appropriate place. And we're ready to top it up with fresh oil. Okay, so we've removed all the tubes, we've disposed of the old oil into an old container so we can take that down the recycling and get that sorted. So all that's left to do now is just top up with oil. So we're going to remove the filler cap. I'm using a funnel with a filter. It's not absolutely necessary, but I like to use it. And then we're just going to top up with nice clean oil. Just remember when you're doing this, when you're looking up your figures for how much your vehicle holds, just remember to Google oil and filter, because remember the filter will hold about half a litre on its own. And then we're going to top up the required amount, and then just double check on the dipstick, make sure we're in between the minimum and maximum, and that's it. Job jobbed. Put the engine cover back on and we're sorted. So I hope you've enjoyed this and found this video helpful. If you have, please like, subscribe, feel free to comment, and look forward to the next one. Take care, thank you, bye bye.